The silence in the courtroom was deafening. All eyes locked on the woman stepping up to the witness stand, Cassie Ventura. Not just a singer, not just a former girlfriend of a powerful music mogul. She wasn't here to sing, smile, or reminisce. She was here to expose, to lay bare a side of Sean Diddy Combs that most of the world never imagined could exist. And as she took that stand, her full, pregnant belly unmistakably visible beneath her dress, the weight of the moment became impossible to ignore. On one side of the courtroom sat her husband, Alex Fine, watching the mother of his unborn child recount years of horror. On the other, 6 of Diddy's children sat quietly, stone-faced, stunned, or perhaps just trying to process what was unfolding. These weren't just public accusations. This was personal. This was intimate. This was years of trauma, secrets, and manipulation boiling over under oath in front of the very people who had lived in the shadow of one of hip-hop's most powerful empires. But here's the thing. This isn't just another celebrity trial. It's not just a headline about abuse or fame gone wrong. What's unraveling in that Manhattan federal courtroom is something much bigger. This case has become a flashpoint, a battle between public image and private reality, between power and silence, between truth and legacy. It's no longer just about Cassie and Diddy. It's about what happens when the silence breaks, when the cameras stop rolling, and when the truth steps into the light. Because this case, it's not just legal, it's political, it's personal, it's cultural. And what Cassie revealed in just her first day on the stand has already shaken the industry, the courtroom, and the internet to its core. And the most chilling part, this is only the beginning. The air shifted the moment Cassie stepped into the courtroom. Visibly pregnant, her presence wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. A woman once silenced now stood tall, belly round, strength radiating through the tension in the room. She wasn't just testifying, she was reclaiming power. What she was about to reveal would leave the courtroom breathless. With a binder in her lap and trembling hands, Cassie began recounting the darkest years of her life. Her voice was steady at first, but what she described was anything but. She spoke of what she described as unusual gatherings, disturbing scenarios that blurred the line between control and performance. According to her, these weren't just wild parties. They were orchestrated acts of control. Diddy and another man allegedly stood over her as she lay on the floor, high and vulnerable, forced into humiliating acts while being filmed. Cassie claimed she had no agency, only fear, pressure, and submission. But she didn't just speak. She showed. Jurors were handed individual screens to view private footage, explicit images pulled straight from her phone. The same phone, she says, documented her abuse. The images showed her covered in baby oil, surrounded by unfamiliar men, and in moments of unmistakable distress. Reactions were immediate. One female juror reportedly placed her hand over her chest, visibly shaken. Another male juror looked away, unable to meet the screen with his eyes. What hit even harder? The infamous 2016 surveillance video of Diddy caught in a violent moment with Cassie in a hotel. Footage that later surfaced on CNN was apparently just the surface. Cassie's footage, shown only to the courtroom, was darker, rawer, and completely unfiltered. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears, her voice cracking as she described how she endured these sessions for years, some lasting hours, others stretching for days. She spoke of hotels so badly damaged that Diddy had to pay tens of thousands to redecorate entire rooms. She described feeling like property, manipulated by love, power, and fear. And all the while, her husband sat quietly on the right, while Diddy's children, including the ones Cassie helped raise, sat on the left. It wasn't just her story that held the room hostage, it was the unspoken acknowledgement that this wasn't isolated. According to prosecutors, she wasn't the only one. But Cassie's not the only one pulling the curtain back. Just when the courtroom thought it had seen the worst, the prosecution flipped the entire case on its head. After days of closed-door deliberations, sealed witness lists, and whispered speculation, the feds finally made their move, and it sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Prosecutors revealed their next card, Gina Huynh. Not just a name, a bombshell. The announcement came subtly, almost casually, like it wasn't about to rattle the entire defense team. But within minutes, the meaning sank in. Gina Huynh, one of Diddy's longest-known and most silent companions, was being positioned as the second star witness. And this wasn't just another ex-girlfriend drama. This was strategy. This was lethal. See, Gina's connection to Diddy runs deep, far deeper than most casual fans ever knew. She wasn't just a name on a tabloid headline. She was a constant figure behind the scenes, one who remained loyal, silent, and dangerously close for nearly a decade. She was there when Cassie was around. She was there when the lights were off, when the parties were private, when the cameras weren't rolling. And now, according to insider leaks, she's ready to talk. Courtroom murmurs suggested that Gina may possess first-hand knowledge not just of Diddy's alleged abuse, but of who knew, who helped cover it up, and who got paid to stay quiet. If true, her testimony could bridge the gap between isolated claims and a full-blown pattern of criminal behavior. In the eyes of the prosecution, she isn't just a witness, she's the tipping point. As reporters scrambled to confirm the leak, one thing became clear. The prosecution wasn't playing checkers, they were playing chess. With Cassie painting the emotional landscape of alleged abuse, Gina could be the cold, calculated witness who connects the dots. And as word spread through the courtroom like wildfire, one name kept coming up from both legal experts and fans alike. Gina might be the one who ends it all. And if you think this ends with Cassie, think again, because Gina's story is next level. If Cassie's testimony shook the courtroom, then Gina Huynn's name blew the roof off it. For years, Gina was the shadow in Diddy's spotlight. No red carpet walks, no flashy interviews, just blurred photos, deleted stories, and whispers. But those close to the scene always knew. Gina wasn't just some passing fling. She was a long-term presence. She was there before, during, and after nearly every major woman Diddy publicly dated. According to sources, their relationship goes all the way back to the early 2000s, quietly surfacing again and again like an unresolved ghost. In 2015, Gina and Diddy reportedly became official, but only behind closed doors. And while he flaunted other women in public, Gina remained in the background, taking private jets, living the soft life, and staying painfully loyal. But with loyalty came silence, and silence, over time, started to rot. Insiders allege Gina witnessed far more than the public ever will. She saw the transition from Cassie's era into Diddy's so-called bachelor billionaire lifestyle. She knew about the double lives, the payouts, and the tension behind the closed doors of hotel rooms and luxury estates. And as the public marveled at Diddy's glamorous life, Gina saw the machinery, the manipulation, the alleged violence, and the consequences. Some reports even suggest Gina wasn't just emotionally bruised, she was allegedly pressured into ending 2 pregnancies. There are also whispered claims of physical abuse, claims that, if brought under oath, could shift the entire narrative into darker territory. And maybe that's what makes Gina so dangerous now, because this isn't just about heartbreak or jealousy. Gina lived through the chaos, stayed quiet through the scandals, and now, if she chooses to speak, she could detonate everything. But here's where it gets even messier. Gina's beef isn't just with Diddy, it's also with the city girl herself. If Diddy's love life was a circus, then Gina and Young Miami were the 2 headliners fighting for center ring. It started with whispers, shade tossed in captions, a few too many likes on old photos, and subtle story posts that fans were quick to decode. But it didn't stay subtle for long. Everything exploded in May 2022 when Gina posted a now infamous photo. Diddy, mid-kiss, planting one on her cheek like it was nothing. But to fans, and to Young Miami, it was everything. The internet caught fire, blogs ran wild, and the dating but single narrative Diddy had been pushing, completely demolished. Young Miami, known for keeping it raw, didn't stay quiet. She fired off a now viral tweet. "Somebody please give this beast some attention." Translation? Gina was the side chick begging for clout, and Miami wasn't having it. But Gina wasn't backing down either. She clapped back with cryptic posts, laughing videos, and calculated jabs that felt a little too personal. And then came December 2022, the moment Gina went nuclear. News broke that Diddy had welcomed another baby, with neither Miami nor Gina. Instead of retreating, Gina mocked Miami in a brutal TikTok, saying, "While she beefing with me over Ranger, he out here getting someone else pregnant." Mic dropped. Internet broken. City girls down bad. From there, the feud wasn't just occasional drama, it was a full-blown digital Cold War. Gina would post, then delete. Miami would subtweet and go live. And Diddy? He sat back and let the chaos play out, bouncing between both women like the ringleader of his own scandalous sideshow. The saddest part? Neither woman really won. While Miami flexed private jets and front row seats, Gina fired off receipts and alleged betrayal. What was once a love triangle turned into a war zone, and the world watched every swing. But here's the twist. This feud was more than petty. It was personal. Behind the shade was pain, power plays, and secrets. And now, if Gina really takes the stand, she could back up every jab with cold, hard truth. But the court doesn't care about tweets. They care about evidence. And Gina might have plenty. Gina wasn't just in the room. According to insiders, she knew everything. The parties, the payouts, the deals made behind closed doors to keep certain people quiet and others in control. Gina didn't just orbit Diddy's world, she was embedded in it. And now, the possibility that she might testify has the entire industry holding its breath. Because Gina isn't walking in empty-handed, it's been whispered that she kept receipts, not just texts or blurry photos, but dates, locations, people, and prices. Some claim she documented conversations, tracked who attended which private parties, and even had knowledge of how Diddy's empire allegedly used NDAs to bury stories and silence witnesses. And if that's true, this isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about everyone who was in the room, everyone who helped, and everyone who looked the other way. Prosecutors reportedly believe Gina could validate patterns that Cassie introduced. The freak-offs, the control, the alleged coercion. But Gina takes it further. She might know who else was paid to keep their mouths shut, which celebrities were invited, which influencers played along, and how deep the culture of silence really went. And that's where Young Miami's name keeps popping up. If Gina connects dots and drops names, real names, timelines, deals, Miami's image could crumble under the weight of public exposure. Not because she orchestrated anything, but because she might have known. And if Gina proves that, then every red carpet, every Birkin bag, every flirty moment suddenly looks like complicity. This could end careers, not with scandal, but with sworn testimony. There's no unfollowing your way out of federal court. But before prosecutors pop the champagne, the only problem? The prosecution might lose their most powerful card. Just when it seemed like the prosecution had their secret weapon locked in, she vanished. Victim 3, widely believed to be Gina Huynh, had reportedly agreed to testify. Just days earlier, she told prosecutors she was ready to speak, ready to use her real name, and ready to expose everything she'd seen. The courtroom buzzed. The defense scrambled. Media outlets raced to prepare for a seismic testimony that could tear through Diddy's empire like wildfire. And then, radio silence. No follow-up, no response, no explanation. Judges, prosecutors, and reporters were left stunned. After all the buildup, after all the whispered confirmations and private meetings, Victim 3 suddenly stopped cooperating. The same woman who, just 48 hours prior, seemed poised to deliver the most damning testimony in the entire case, disappeared behind a wall of silence. So what happened? Was it fear? The reality of testifying against one of the most powerful men in entertainment would shake anyone's nerves. Was it pressure? From insiders? From lawyers? Or worse, from someone with something to lose? Or was it something more strategic? A last-minute deal? A behind-the-scenes arrangement to stay quiet in exchange for protection or compensation? No one knows for sure. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because now the prosecution is left dangling, with a witness they publicly labeled as a star, but who may never take the stand. Meanwhile, the defense is already spinning it, claiming the sudden silence proves the case is built on emotion, not fact. That it's all about former partners with emotional history, not credible witnesses with supporting accounts. But let's not get it twisted. Even without Gina's testimony, the pressure is mounting. The videos, the emotional breakdowns, the patterns of alleged abuse, it's all stacking. The courtroom has already seen too much, heard too much. So what now? Because even without Gina, the case is burning hotter than ever. With each passing day, the case against Sean Diddy Combs grows heavier. It's no longer just Cassie. It's not even just Gina. The walls are closing in, and behind those courtroom doors, more names are being whispered, more testimonies are being prepped, and more witnesses are rumored to be waiting in the wings. Sources close to the case say additional women are preparing to speak, some of whom were allegedly involved in the same freak-off scenarios described by Cassie. Others claim to have endured their own cycles of coercion and control under Diddy's influence. If those women come forward, the prosecution's narrative shifts from a single accuser to a pattern. A network of silence, power, and fear that may have operated unchecked for years. Meanwhile, the defense is pushing hard to redirect the narrative. Their argument? This isn't a criminal case. It's a bitter breakup on steroids. They're trying to frame the allegations as the fallout of a messy love life, mixed with jealousy, money, and media attention. They're painting Diddy as a flawed, but not criminal, man caught in the chaos of high-profile relationships. But prosecutors are having none of it. To them, this case isn't about jealousy, it's about survival. About women who were allegedly mistreated, pressured, and emotionally controlled over time. Their strategy is sharp. Show a pattern, establish motive, present undeniable proof. And then there's the jury, sitting silently, watching graphic videos, listening to emotional testimony, and absorbing it all under intense scrutiny. Every moment is another brick in the wall, another heartbeat pushing toward a verdict that could change lives and legacies. But there's still so much we don't know. Who's testifying next? What bombshell hasn't dropped yet? Will Diddy take the stand? And let's not forget the cultural impact, because no matter what happens inside that courtroom, outside the world is watching. This isn't just a celebrity trial, it's a reckoning. And this story is far from over. One woman has already spoken. Another might still be holding the match. Gina Huyhn's silence could mean fear, or it could mean strategy. She knows the weight of her words. She's been in the room, behind the curtains, in the quiet moments where truth was hidden and deals were made. But the longer she stays silent, the louder the speculation becomes. The question now isn't just if she'll testify, it's when, and how much she's willing to risk. And what about young Miami? Her brand is built on confidence, boldness, and being unbothered. But behind the filters and fiery tweets, is she watching her world unravel? If Gina takes the stand and starts connecting dots, naming names, and exposing what was happening in plain sight, how much of Miami's public image will survive the fallout? This trial is no longer just about Diddy's fate, it's about reputation, silence, complicity, and the people who stayed close when the truth was inconvenient. Is this the end of an empire, or just a well-funded cover-up in real time? Will more victims step forward, tipping the scales of justice once and for all? Or will the machine that protected Diddy for decades spin into overdrive to bury the damage? Because in this courtroom, power is no longer about money or fame. It's about who speaks and who stays silent. And every day, that silence grows more dangerous. So we ask again, will Gina flip and testify? Will young Miami protect her image or jump ship? Is this the fall of a music mogul or a fight to the finish? One thing's certain, we haven't seen the final act. Stay tuned. The storm isn't over, it's just getting started.